back to PyroFalkon Streaming Sundays. Today is February 7th, 2016. If you are watching this on YouTube, you should be joining us every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern on hitbox.tv/PyroFalkonLPE. A link is in the video description. Of course, if you are watching this on YouTube, I kind of understand because February 7th was the day of the Super Bowl, so kind of get why you wouldn't be here. Although, looking at my list, I actually have most of the regulars in the chat, which is awesome.
It's the finals of the Hand Egg Tournament.
Hand Egg. So, and as you can see by that little box in the top right corner, you missed the Yakamura singing if you didn't join us live. So you should join us live every Sunday. Join us. Join us.
I only sang 2 bars. Then you pinned me with the psycho stare! Stop! I'm so high right now.
So this game is Deathless, the City's Thirst. This was actually Plan C for today. Wasn't going to play it, but the fans chose, demanded, asked, whatever, that we play an audience participation game, mostly because I, kind of promised it. I just didn't think I would be able to fulfill the promise, but they kind of made me anyway, so which is fine. So, this is the sequel to A Choice of the Deathless, which you can also find on this channel. And again, we will be playing it audience participation. And what we're going to do is it's basically choose your own adventure book. But rather than playing with a rotation as we did last time, every time that a choice comes up, I'm going to start a vote in the chat. And the chatters can vote on what they want, and I will only participate if there is a tie. The Yakamura is going to vote as well. Anyway,
I'm
so get ready for at least an hour to 2 hours of sexy pyro voice or whatever the hell I'm doing at the moment, which is probably a lot less sexy than I hope it is, but it is what it is. All right.
Line your panties, ladies.
Wow. Chapter 1, On the Run. You'll die in this desert, and if you're lucky, you'll stay dead. That way you'll never have to explain this mess to your boss. You flee down a narrow ravine. You can't see the scorpion kind chasing you, but you hear its spine-tipped legs skitter over gravel. So many legs, not to mention the claws that catch. Smoke crests the horizon behind you, the only visible sign of your train's wreckage. Your suit's in tatters and crusted, like your skin, with sweat. The dry air out here is worse than a gutter vampire, less compassionate and hungrier. No dietary scruples either. It drinks your blood, tears, sweat. When you die, you'll become a salt mummy, a curiosity archaeologists of later centuries will ponder over sherry, asking themselves, what brought a citizen of Drisdale Lex to these wastes? So what did bring us to these wastes? I've started up the poll. I'll check it in literally 60 seconds. Please vote in the chat. Are we here because of a job, for water, a friend, or a debt?
Probably all of them.
Votes are in. There's a tie between a friend and a debt. I think a debt is more interesting, so we're going with a debt.
Aw, Pyro doesn't like friends.
Don't say that. All I have are my friends who are subscribing to the channel.
Series.
What? What series?
Friends.
I've never actually seen a full episode of Friends.
I've seen it. It's mediocre.
Although the tall blonde lady is very cute. I
Phoebe?
forget. Yes, I don't know who the actress's name is, what the actress's name is, but she's cute.
Yeah, she was
my favorite. You lived a hard life through the wars. Working for Red King Consolidated was supposed to turn that around. You'd be a hero, finding water for a city running out, helping 10 million citizens survive another year, another decade. The North Valley deal was part of that. And now it's gone. The bugs took it when they blew the train tracks, when they stormed the cabin, when they took Verity. To hell with those archaeologists and their sherry. You survived the God Wars, fighting on behalf of upstart human craftsmen against gods jealous of their newfound power. You've killed angels and monsters, and most importantly, you survived the attack on the train. You'll get through this, and then you'll go back for Verity and the contract. The kind approaches.
Can I just say this guy is freaking great at in medias res?
I don't know what that means.
It's when a story starts in the middle.
I see. So, how do we... What is the kind? Or are we not supposed to know that yet?
Oh no, it's the scorpion kind.
Oh,
It's coming,
that's right.
It's coming for your testes.
So since the scorpion kind is coming for our giblets, how are we going to handle this? Poll is open. Do we set up an ambush because we're not fighting in this condition? Are we going to magic the thing to hell? Since there's only one chasing us, we'll meet it head on. Or since the map says there's a homestead past the canyon, someone there can help. Poll is closed, and the winning option is let's magic that thing to hell.
God damn it, I told you guys not to magic.
The scuttling nears. You smell ichor.
Ew.
Like the juice of fresh crushed grass.
Ichor is shit.
Your left leg twitches, about to give, not from fear, just from wounds and exhaustion. You've run a long way from the wreckage of the train, fighting all the while. You're the only one left, except for the kind. It rounds a bend in the ravine. Sun glints off its red-black carapace. They're well named, the scorpion kind. 2 massive claws, an arch spiked-tipped tail, median and lateral eyes, mandibles. Not friendly. You wounded this one back at the train. Its tail lists to one side, sprained or broken. Either way, less dangerous than you feared. You fought all the way from the train. Your soul's drained to the limits of conscious
I
thought.
told you guys.
Any more and you'd start to gray out. You've burned through your expense account, and that goddamn brutal sun blots away the starlight that could save you. What power will you use to feed your craft? Do you drain your soul to the dregs? Do you use your own body and blood to feed the magic? Or do you draw on local plant life? Votes are in. It was basically unanimous. We are drawing on local life. You pull at all the life you can find. Cactuses shrivel. Desert lizards warp. It isn't much. But then, at the furthest edge of your awareness, you find a deep well of life. A well of patterns you can tear and rend and make your own. Power you can use to save yourself. How do we use it? Do we kill the kind, terrify it, or trap it? I thought there was going to be a tie, but at the last second, option 1 got an additional vote, so we are killing the kind. Thank you, achievement. And thank you, achievement, on my other screen. Relax. You stare across broken stone at the kind. You open your hand and close it. The redstone peaks ring like a struck bell. The kind explodes and collapses at once. Nothing's left but a stain on the dirt. Then you collapse. There follows a broken span of ice castle visions and nonsensical rhythm. Calloused hands grip you. The sky's a fanged, gaping mouth overhead. Red light curves to enfold a beautiful brown face. You hear words in Quechol and Catholic. Breath heaves in your chest. That's a good sign. You still have a chest, at least. The God Wars convulse around you. Memories, you try to tell yourself. You're dreaming. You must be. But time collapses in dreams, and this isn't a memory. You feel it. You're still there, past and present.
Variegated?
Variegated. Don't know that word.
Neither do I.
A variegated swirl like the colors of a ruined sand painting. Cling to present memories. Verity Chen, back on the train. She roared as she fell beneath a swarm of bugs, charms painted on their claws, slicing through her shields. But the wars draw you deeper. Back to the dense, wet forests of Koh Katang. Back to... Whoa, those are 4 big options. So in Koh Katang, we either had blood surging our fingers in time with a friend's heartbeat. Oh, God, that's horrifying.
Flashbacks to Far Cry 3.
A scream from our stomach as we sprinted through a jungle. Or shivering, frozen, holding a body as the sky breaks overhead, or the night blackness that killed the stars. Those are very, very long options. So you guys can check that out, and please vote for me in the comments. And apparently, Kalo has looked up the word variegated for us. Its definition is exhibiting different colors, especially as irregular patches or streaks. I don't know why I bothered reading that, because on the YouTube cut, you can see it in the corner. Alright, so we have a 3-way tie between the last 3 options. So let me see here. What is more interesting to me? Um. Screams. Craftsman. Soldier. Man, those are all wacky. You know what? I like the elemental theme of the third option. So, shivering, frozen, holding a body as the sky breaks overhead and lightning spears, you've summoned rain down to split the earth and burn the forest.
I like how this is basically pick your PTSD.
Pretty much. A human hand rests upon your brow. A human voice asks, "Who are you?" You try to answer, but the dark claims you.
Am I piecing myself back together again? God damn it.
Again. Chapter 2, The Train Job. At some point, the dreams turn sexy. Blood and scars and war recede. You lie upon a long bed with crimson sheets and you're, well, naked, and pleasantly entangled with several individuals of an amorous and appealing persuasion. A bevy of quite attractive...
Quite attractive both.
So this is essentially choosing our sexuality, or at least what we are attracted to at the moment. I assume we'll choose our sexuality in another few questions. So, but choose in the poll, please. Do we like men, women, both, or none of your business? Let us know in the poll. Poll is closed. There's a tie between option 1 and option 3. And just to make it more interesting, we're going to say both. We are bisexual. On red sheets beneath a black and seamless sky, you pull them toward you, bodies without faces and names. Teeth nip at...
That's weird. This is a weird dream.
Teeth nip your neck and your hands. Whoa, and your hands find other hands. Find curves of muscle and furrows flanking spines. But as you pull them toward you, as they pull you toward them, you see their eyes lack eyes at all, and are only empty pits that reflect your own, likewise empty.
I'm gonna safe word.
Their fingers dig into the clay sculpture you've become, and you tear apart.
But red?
You you wake with a start. So what is our reaction to awaking? Poll is closed, and option 1 wins. I scream. Reasonable decision. Your own voice echoes back to you from wooden walls. It's been a long time since you slept through the night. The nightmares have grown worse recently, which isn't fair. The wars are over. Well, they're still being fought out in the deserts and on the edges of the world. But your wars have been over for years.
Pick a gender.
Yes, now we pick a gender. We are either a different woman now or a different man now. Votes are in and option 2 wins. We are a different man now. You smell bacon, hot maple syrup, and coffee. For a second, you wonder if it was all a dream. The wars, the scorpion kind, Verity, your job at RKC, if you're just a kid in bed waking from a fever. Your eyes focus. This room, log walls, light streaming through the slatted shutters, gas lanterns on the wall, narrow bed, low bookcase, blanket woven in traditional Quechol patterns. It's not the place you slept as a child. So, poll is reopened. Is our place too small and shabby? Is it too big and well furnished? Is it about the right size? Or when we were young, we slept rough? Please select one of those 4 options. Poll is closed. We again have a 3-way tie between the last 3 options. Okay. Let's see.
Eliminate option 1.
Well, yeah, because I had the least votes.
Ah.
So, let's see.
No, I was gonna say eliminate option 1 and then do it again. Or would that take too long?
Screw it. I said I'd solve ties. Okay, so in my real life, my mom was middle class, and we always had a pretty decent place to live. It wasn't too big, but it also wasn't rough. So let's call it about the right size, but the details are wrong. Your house felt like this, comfortable, not opulent, a weather-worn inheritance from prior generations. But there are key differences. Fixtures in brass, a hand-woven rug on the floor beside your bed, a quilt inexpertly made, glints of green outside the window. You sit up in bed, and the world swims. Sore muscles and fresh wounds pull. Bandages slide over your naked skin. You take stock of your body. I'm going to have to add an option 5 here to the poll, but now the poll is running. Please select one of those 5 options in which either we are missing an arm, missing a leg, just screaming in pain, have a small scar, or have several scars. Poll is closed, and we have a 2-way tie between option 1 and option 3. And option 3 is a lot funnier, so where the hell is my arm?
It's dinner.
You glance around in confused panic for a second until you find your prosthetic lying on the table beside your bed. Copper and silver and ivory, craft-worked with glyphs and sigils. You socket it into place and feel the familiar chill as it bonds with your stump. Cold lights shimmer on its curves. The fingers flex. The armoire holds a more varied selection of clothes than you appreciated. Farm workers' clothing, denim and gingham? Gingham? I don't know what that is. Leather and rough cotton. Your own clothes aren't in evidence, which should not be a surprise given how thoroughly your battle wrecked them. You find a shirt and pants that fit, more or less. When you open the bedroom door, you hear voices from down the stairs. An old man and a young one talking. You did the right thing, the old man says. He's from Dresdiel Lex, Doc. From RKC. You know what that means. And he ruined our grazing land. Blighted down to ash and ice like something from the goddamn wars. Yet you saved his life. How do we handle this, now that we know these people are here? Please select one of those 4 options in the poll. The votes are in. There's a 2-way tie between the first 2 options. I kind of want to hear what they're saying before I announce my presence, so we're going to eavesdrop on their conversation. You pad toward the stairs, the better to overhear. I shouldn't have. I wouldn't if I'd known. You don't mean that, Doc says. You've seen it happen. RKC's boys come in, buy your water out from under you, and Dresdiel Lex drinks it dry. They won't stop till the whole North Valley's a desert. There's no obvious avenue of escape, unless you wanted to try flying from a second-story window, and your head swims at the thought. You'll have to go down there sooner or later. Besides, your stomach's adamant about breakfast. All right, so now we do have to respond to them. So how do we open our conversation? Please select one of those 4 options in the poll. The votes are in, and option 3 is the winner. Would you prefer it if 10 million people died of thirst? An old, gray-haired, and dark-skinned Quachel man and a younger, darker man stare up at you. The young man was pacing, but has stopped, spun, and now regards you with the wary expression of a dog deciding whether to run or go for the throat. You've seen it before.
You've raised a lot of dogs.
The young man's hesitation doesn't last long. That's the way the world always works for a craftsman. Everything boils down to a number, and more of that number is always better. You don't care about 10 million people. You care about 10 million tools you can use. Jess, the old man says, and he stops. When you reach the bottom of the stairs, he continues. I'm Doc Coxell. Jess rescued you. I put you back together again. You're in my home, in Calder Valley. Now you have us at a disadvantage. Too late, you see your wallet on the table in front of the old man, and beside it, a stack of business cards and identification under different names. Who are you? You give them your real name. The question is why? So why did we give these guys our real name? All right, the poll is closed, and option 3 has won. I want to make a deal with them. Without a real name, the bargain won't stick. Jess watches you as Doc goes into the kitchen to assemble a plate of breakfast. When he returns, bearing coffee and eggs, you say, my name is... And I'm going to override this because I want to do a custom name. I don't want to stick with Alex, Jim, Helen, Mark, or Sue.
You don't want to be a boy named Sue?
I do not want to be a boy named Sue. We should be something else. We have to flit through a handful of fake names before we remember our real one. So, please shout in the chat on Hitbox what we should name our character. Anyway, we're gonna combine a couple things here, and we're gonna call this Oh, Jesus. We are Puntacunt Sexington. Oh, Jesus. That's just the first name. And what's your surname again? You need coffee and breakfast and a great deal more than you thought. Let's see. Let me look out.
Fart knocker.
What? Fart knocker? Let's see. We had a few people requesting farts or something akin to farts. Oh my god. My face hurts from how hard I'm smiling. Let's see if I can say this without laughing. I'm Puntacunt Sexington Fart Knocker, you say, once you've swallowed half a cup of coffee and burned your tongue on the way, probably because I stumbled over those words.
Can you imagine trying to chew gum while saying that name?
You're right. I work for Red King Consolidated. You should see the size of my nameplate on my desk. I'm a craftsman. I negotiate water sourcing deals for the city. I don't steal water and I'm not here for yours. That's my job, though, and I won't apologize for it. I knew it, Jess said. My partner and I were attacked on our way from a business meeting. How long was I out? A little under a day, Doc says. You work fast. I didn't earn my moniker for nothing, he grins. So we have 4 options, none of which have anything to do with farts, knocking, or punting cunts. So please select one of those 4 options for us to respond to him with. The poll is closed, and our response is, thank you. You saved my life, and I've only brought you harm.
Don't tweet
So
it
dramatic.
to him, Lord Ariados. Let him forget. Oh my god, let him forget.
Life's cheap enough these days, Doc says. You're not the first I've saved. Jess glances sharply toward Doc, but he doesn't elaborate. When Jess turns back to you, at least, his mismatched eyes look softer, though it's still like comparing Flint to more pillowy Flint. That's a very nice line. The ensuing silence lasts until Doc finishes his coffee. Now, we've mended you. What will you do next?
I will do as my name describes. I'm going to punt, cunts, sexington, and fart knockers.
Wow.
He farts at a bunch of door knockers.
I know, I just pictured that in my head before you said that. Ah. In spite of the medical aid and the good breakfast, you're in a tight spot.
Or maybe he farts into tits. Or maybe he farts tits.
On your own in a strange land with strangers who might have put you back on your feet, but don't qualify as allies. I'm having trouble reading because now my brain's disrupted. If you return to Dresdiel Lex empty-handed, your bosses will rip your soul out through your navel. Ah, God. That helped me get back on track. And even if you survive, by the time you make it to the city, get help and come back, Chen will be dead for sure, and the deal broken. Your tools, as you see them, are the kindness of strangers and your own skills. So how do we try to bargain our way out of this? Poll is closed, and it's unanimous that if we get the North Valley deal back, their farms are safe. I need help, you say when you finish your coffee. My partner's out there in Scorpion-Kind Warren, and she's carrying a deal we just signed, ceding North Valley water rights to Dresdiel Lex. Jess goes tight and sharp as a blade. Doc stops eating. The scrape of his knife and fork are the only sounds in the small room. We dealt for that water fair and square, but we used a lot of leverage to make the deal, and if the Scorpion kind break it, we won't be able to make another. You make your voice hard to say the next bit. And if that happens, my bosses will go looking for water elsewhere. You don't need to say it. Maybe they'll come looking here. What are you saying? If you help me, I'll save that deal, which will help keep speculators out of this valley and away from your water. If you don't, you'll get a visit sooner or later from someone a lot uglier than me and a lot less polite. Jess looks into your eyes for what seems a long time. Let's go, he says. No time's wasted after that. Jess saddles the horses. Doc finds you a pair of boots, as your office footwear won't serve you well out on the trail. Jess packs the saddlebags in silence, and fast. You help where you can, but you get in the way just as often as not, and comfort yourself with thoughts of how lost Jess would be in a court of craft, or in a battle. Doc sees you off. Take care. As Jess leads you to a gallop across the yellow-green fields and Doc's farmhouse recedes behind, you wonder if that's valediction or a warning. I have to say I'm sort of like our boy here, Puntakont, because I would be absolutely useless outside of a city-based environment. I am very much a city boy. You and Jess ride over dry plains beneath beating sun, past cratered earth and signs of battle, until you reach the wreckage of the Express, a river of melted steel and twisted rails. Broken steel claws rise from the crash like jagged, pulled taffy. A china plate, surprisingly intact, lies on the sand by your horse's hooves. Jess regards the wreckage with a slight twitch of his eyebrows. You did all this yourself? How do we respond to Jess? Please select one of those 4 options in the poll. Poll is closed, and our response is, my partner and I, to be exact. Tell me. The bugs blew the tracks. There were 100 at least. We tried to fight free together. She fought harder, so they focused on her. I got out. We'll get her back, Jess says, and guides his mount down toward the wreckage. The trail's almost a day cold. How do you want to track them? The poll is closed, and we have a 2-way tie between the bottom 2 options. Let's stick with magic. So we trace Verity with craft. She may have left some trail the scorpion kind haven't shredded. The train tracks pass through hard-scrabble country. Before the wars, you'd never come close to this kind of country. Depopulated, desolate, without even a pleasant vista to justify a camping trip. Jess watches, skeptical, while you close your eyes and search the barren craftscape for traces of Verity, or the scorpions. The kind tear apart human craft, but Verity's clever. She may have left some trail you can follow. And there's the trail. So subtle you barely see it at first. She couldn't leave you anything so simple as a thread to follow. The scorpion kind scrub the world clean of craft as they pass. They believe land cannot be owned, but art remains, to the glory of the maker. So Verity's left you art. Beads of her own blood, compressed by craft to crystal and let fall so kind feet would cover them with sand. You can't find her by simple correspondence. With so many of the scorpion kind nearby, there's too much static on the line. But each blood crystal leads to the next, a red path through the desert. Jess helps you find the beads and cares for the horses while you search. Dangerous. Dangerous for a craftswoman to leave such a trail. Blood has a powerful lean on the body, but she was desperate. You suffer a hard, grim ride under pounding sun and over cactus flats. Progress is slow. Mostly, you see dirt, the horizon, and the brim of your hat, and Jess out of the corner of your eye. Night comes too fast, and with it comes the cold. Stars and moon burn overhead. Local Quechol myth says the stars are demons, or that demons live between them, or things neither demons nor divine. No demon you've met has commented on this claim. You make a small fire, eat sparingly, ward your bedroll against bugs, and sleep. As you drift off, Jess stays cross-legged by the fire. Reflected flames dance in his eyes. You know the dreams well enough by now, but they still hurt. You weren't a fighter then, a newcomer to the wars. The attack came at night, soundless, without warning. Weeds formed into gripping hands that pulled soldiers down. 2 feet to your left, the mud opened its mouth to swallow your friend. Screams everywhere and knives. You ran. You hid. You brought the emergency beacon. You were always smart that way. And you shivered in shadows, torn by screams and war, until spears of ice fell in to answer your call. You wake. Knowledge returns slowly. Where you are, who you are, what you're doing here. Jess sits across from you by the campfire, cross-legged, the planes and curves of his face lit by your fire's fading embers.
Can I just say, that must be hilarious for Jess if you talk when you wake up, just like, ugh, where, Who? Oh yeah, my name is fucking Fart Knocker.
The rest of him remains in shadow. Jess lights a cigarette with an ember from the fire. Silver blood shines. War dreams. I have them too. Not like this. I heard enough to say you're wrong. I saw a lot before I took up with Doc, and not all of us in your wars had magic to cushion our fall. He exhales. You start shaking and try to still yourself so Jess doesn't notice. If you keep quiet, it'll get worse. Tell me. So we have 5 options here. And I'll put option 5 back on the poll. And the poll is running. Please, in the poll, select which of those statements we will say to Jess. Poll is closed. We are choosing option 3. I hid from an ambush so I could keep the rescue beacon live long enough to save any of us. Turns out it just saved me. You can fake all the cool you like, Jess says. Won't help you none. What the hells do you want me to say? That I should have seen it coming? That I should have done something more? That I should have saved them even if it was impossible, or at least left that goddamn bush and died myself? I don't want you to say anything. But when it was me on the other side of that fire, and Doc where I sit now, he told me, this isn't about what you've done, so much as about how you've run. Interesting. How do we respond to that statement? Please select one of the 4 options in the poll. Poll is closed, and we are going with option 3. It's a physiological stress response. Meat doing meat stuff. You can't talk your way out of that. Someday I'll shed this flesh and then it'll be over. Ugh, that was dark. Only way out of a thing like this is through. How have you tried to escape what happened to you? Looks to me like you've tried to out-magic the whole world and your demons too. Metaphorical ones, I mean. So how do we respond to him? The votes are in. There is a tie between option 1 and option 2. Correction, there's a tie between option 1 and option 3. So... You know, I like this. I've always wanted to be more clever, so I'm going with option 3. He's wrong. Cleverness has been your refuge. Angle hunting, plan laying, scheme devising. You've grown damn good at it. So good, in fact, that you only hurt in your dreams. Jess tosses his cigarette butt into the fire. Shouldn't have said anything, maybe. And we have 1 of 4 different options we can pick to respond to Jess. Votes are in, and we are choosing option 3. No, it's solid advice.
Pyro is a fucking asshole, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, exactly. No, it's solid advice. I owe you for that. You craftsmen and your debts. Sleep on it. If you want to mend, you won't mend in one night. If you want to break yourself to bits, I guess the same holds. You settle back and sleep dreamlessly for once. The next morning's cold. You wake to find dew slick on your face.
Ooh, check stats.
Oh, right. Show stats. So we are Punticun Sexington Fartknocker. We are male with 2,000 souls and we are uninjured. We are not very charming. We're decent in craft. Okay in cunning. Not very good in conviction. Not great at status. But we are very loyal to the Dresdiel Lex water supply. That is our... Is that our client or is that... Yeah, that's our client.
Yes.
That's our client. That's not our employer.
Our employer is RKC.
Right. And we are very traumatized, but we are trauma stat cunning. I don't know what that means. So there's our relationships. Not very good with anybody. We are not very virtuous either. And that's all some blah, blah, blah. Okay, return to the game. The next morning's cold.
Ryu.
You wake to find dew slick on your face. Hi, Ryu! Opening your eyes, you see a death's head centipede crisped as it tried to cross your wards. Jess is sleeping next to the embers of the fire. You roll up your sleeve and check your arm. The enchantments buzz. The little demons chitter in their cages. The connection's a little fuzzy. You detach the arm, wipe its socket down, and lock it back into place. Better. Ugh. You pull some jerky from your satchel and eat. When you next look up, Jess is awake and watching you. I've been thinking, you say.
Always a dangerous thing.
He grunts. What about? What have we been thinking about? The poll is closed, and the votes go to option 3. You can say what you came to say. I won't bite. I don't even have fangs these days. That sounds oddly sexual. Did you ever? The wars do funny things to a guy. They do at that, he says, and grips his biceps with a gloved hand. I want to talk about water. Of course. It always comes down to the water. I couldn't stop thinking about what you said earlier, the North Valley deal. People I know and all their water bound into a single piece of paper. He stands. You have no idea how he moves so smoothly. Yesterday's saddle tossing left your muscles leaden and clotted. Break that contract. Rescue your partner, but give those people back their water. They don't have much more than their land, and you're as good as stealing it away. How do we respond to that? The poll is closed and option 3 wins. Dresdiel Lex needs water, and all water comes from somewhere. If we don't get it from the North Valley, they'll send us to Doc's next. I know. And when that happens, we'll deal as best we can, or chase y'all back home. That might go poorly for you. We'll see, he says. I can't offer you nothing, and don't give me any promises. Oh, excuse me. I know you folk well enough. You squirm out of every single pledge you make. I'm only asking you to let this go. It's the right thing to do. Poll is closed. Once more, we're going with option 3. I don't know what I'll find in their den, but I'll see what I can do. That's enough, he says. Let's saddle up. How will you track the scorpion kind today? They're wily. If you were them, you'd change the tactics you used to keep from being spotted at various points throughout the journey, to throw pursuit off track. You doubt the method you used to trail them yesterday will work as well as today. The kind leave subtle tracks, and the desert is very large. So how do we track them? We can ignore the narrator's advice and use the same method as yesterday, which is to look at them with magic. We can just use logic, ask locals for help, or grit out the desert and search exhaustively. Please let me know in the poll which you would like us to do. The poll is closed and option 3 wins again. We're going to ask the locals for help. If you're watching this on YouTube, what's going on is Kalo is just abusing memes to let us remember Puntacunt Sexington Fartknocker. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you should join us on Hitbox because you're missing all these pictures. And the Akamura is losing her mind. Anyway, Jess knows a few settlements out here. Wanderers, nomads, shamans, and hermits. Some of them even speak a language one or the other of you recognizes. But blissed out shamans don't make the best guides. Many point you in the right direction, but some encounters lead you hours off track. Time wears thin. As the trail warms, you and Jess ride faster, following secret signs through a twisted, scarred landscape. Stone spears erupt from the sand, their broken faces covered with scorpion glyphs. Even the scrub grass dies. At last, the sunset nears. Your destination pierces the barren horizon. The broken towers, Jess says. And they do look like towers from this distance. A shattered city, all of stone. Sounds ominous. This was a forest once, Jess says. A long, long time ago. And those were trees to dwarf any growing now. The kind must live underneath them. He reins in his horse. What's your plan? Good question. You do have a plan, right?
Nah, I figured I'd just wing it.
Do we have a plan? Let us know in the chat. Option 3 wins. You won't like it. I doubt I will. So what is our plan? The polls are closed, and option 2 and option 3 have tied, and we've had a lot of option 3s win, so I'm going to go for option 2. We're going to ask Jess to come with us. This close, I should be able to trace Verity and the deal, even through the hive. But I'd be more comfortable with backup. You want me to go down there with you? I need backup. It's this or arm one of the horses and bring them along. Never give a horse a gun, Jess says. That's one of the things I learned in the wars. You wait for Jess to explain, but he does not.
Come on, man. You can't just open with horse war and then not go anywhere.
He does agree to come, however. You approach the broken towers on foot at night. not in the dark. A clear desert night is never really dark. The moon silvers the ground. Silvers? Kind of a weird word to use as a verb. Anyway. The moon silvers the ground, and clouds of stars congregate overhead. The towers, seen close up, remain uneasily urban and sylvan at once. Trees shouldn't be that tall, rising 10, 20 stories toward the jewel carpet sky. Buildings wouldn't terminate in splinters. Petrified boreholes might have been windows long ago. You hear wind and the tickling of claws over stone. Circling around the petrified forest, flitting from shadow to shadow, you spot guard stands, rounded chitin shadows amid the harsh, sharp outlines of petrified wood and the glitter of crystallized sap. The ones near the periphery are sentries. Guards farther in must be watching a tunnel entrance. Now all you have to do is get past them. Jess ghosts forward over hard ground, and you follow, flitting from shadow to shadow. You're plenty sneaky on your own, but you knew commandos back in the wars who didn't move so softly as this man. What's the plan? What is the plan, everyone? I'm going to add option 4 back to the poll. Please let me know in the poll, through your votes, what our plan is. Option 3 wins, so some pretty gross property damage should do the trick. Yes, the broken towers are impressive. Yes, they're ancient. Yes, they should probably be protected from the depredations of craftsmen like yourself. But on the flip side, they're so damn useful. For example, if you should wish a quality distraction, why, all you need to do is draw down an enormous fund of starlight, identify a tall and precarious tower, and push hard. Wow, that was a delicious sentence to say. You test 5 petrified trees before you find the right one. An ancient 15-story monster with a stress fracture running from root to jagged crown.
It looks like the crew would like a word with you.
You choose your angle of attack. What am I saying? Oh, no. What I was thinking was wildly inappropriate, and I can't say it. Anyway, Jess doesn't know this part of the plan. He follows your gaze to the tree, and when it sways, he grabs your wrist. Are you crazy? You grin, which means yes. The tree falls. It makes a sound. Unfortunately, so do many other trees. Your first target tumbles into a second, larger tower, which shatters into 3 pieces down a fault line you hadn't detected, and each of those 3 strikes others, some of which stand, while others domino down. The destruction is awesome, in the word's classic sense.
Did I do that?
Nothing for it but to run. You sprint through a cloud of dust and flying splinters of petrified wood. Scorpion kind scuttle past you in the chaos, fixed on matters far more important than your presence. Jess runs alongside you, ducking flying chunks of stone, vaulting over boulders and bodies. This was your plan? You decide to respond later.
Some fuck-ups can only be responded to in an Urkel fashion.
You reach the tunnel and dive into it seconds before an enormous piece of petrified tree falls and shatters. Splinters tear the skin off your arm and back. A chunk of stone strikes the side of your head. Your ears ring. It's dark, but you're still alive, which is nice. You summon a ghost-light wisp. Jess crouches against the wall, lit green and pale. He isn't breathing hard, just tense. His eyes glitter. It worked, didn't it, you say, and lead him down. The tunnel slopes steeply downward. It's broad, but low-ceilinged. You and Jess proceed crouched. Your legs and back ache. Petrified roots dig down through the tunnel roof. They tangle and pull at your hair. They catch and rip your clothes. Behind you, Jess whispers, "Hear that? Water." And when you hold your breath and listen, you do hear water dripping. A clear, echoing fall. You never expected to hear that sound out here in the Badlands. The next sound you hear, you did expect. The chatter of scorpion voices. Blue aurora light flows into the tunnel. You taste wetness and cool mornings. Whatever you seek, you're almost there. The tunnel ends in a narrow ledge surrounding a vast cavern blue lit from below. Cavern, you can already tell, is the wrong word. You know a temple when you see one, even if you know nothing of the gods it was built to praise. The chaos you caused up top yielded unexpected dividends. You can see the traces of more scorpion-kind footprints and scrapes on the rock, enough to suggest the temple's usually full. It's not empty now, but you're facing a rear guard, not an army. A sharp slope descends from your ledge to the light's source, a cave pool glowing translucent blue and bisected by a stone causeway. Stalactite teeth descend from the cavern ceiling. Fluorescent drops form and fall into the pool. Verity stands on one half of the pool. The briefcase with your deal rests on the other. Literally, as if the pool's surface were a floor. A blue-white craftwork shell surrounds Verity, and a similar shell guards the briefcase. Verity paces like a tiger in a cage. Each time a droplet strikes her shield and the shield around the briefcase, she flinches, and the shield cracks. One of the kind stands on the causeway between them, claws raised. Bands of beaten gold ring its carapace, and vivid scrawls of paint catch and reflect the light from the pool. A priest of whatever form. Verity's torn suit is stained with sweat, dried blood, hers, and golden ichor, theirs. She's cut and bruised and hungry, but she still paces like a compressed spring. You review her with eyes closed. The shields are her work. The scorpion kind are attempting to assert their claim to the water rights deal. She's forcing their power back, asserting that the contract falls under the purview of the courts of craft, but she's one craftswoman against a hive of enemies. She can barely protect herself and the deal at once. There's a slight hitch in Verity's pace. She doesn't pause, nothing that transparent, but she's seen you. Okay, how do we alert her that we know we have been seen? Please select one of those three options in the poll. The votes are in, and option 3 wins again. I remain still and ponder a plan. There she is, Jess whispers. What now? Votes are in, and option 3 wins. The priest has not seen me yet. I attack while her back is turned. Why offer warnings? Why give the priest a chance to raise her defenses? You call upon craftwork weapons and stride into the room. Rocks fall, lightning darts from your fingertips, transfixing kind where they stand. A wave of glowing water blocks your attack on the priest, but you've got them on the run. For now. But more are coming, pouring out of side passages, and the priest has called on her gods. Great plan, Verity says. Now get the briefcase and run. I can take care of myself. So, do we listen to Verity? Setting up the poll. Please select one of those three options in the poll. The poll is closed, and option 3 gets unanimous. I save the... Gets unanimous? Gets the unanimous... bad grammar. I saved the briefcase. I have to get something out of this debacle. You run toward the briefcase, bypassing Verity and the priest entirely. Behind you, Verity makes her move. Shadow and thunder fill the cave. It takes enormous will to wrest the briefcase from underneath the waterfall. The water must be sacred to the scorpion kind gods somehow. It keeps asserting a different reality than the one you want to maintain. As far as the water's concerned, you don't own the case at all. At last, with a triumphant surge of logic, you tear the case free. Got it, let's go! But Verity's locked in battle with the priest. Hordes of kind surround her, and spears of water pry against her shields. The awe of their gods wears her down. Run, she cries, I'll catch up! Reinforcements pour into the temple. You run. You and Jess run from the temple into the tunnels bearing uphill. In your haste, you retrace your steps. Then remember, you can't get out the way you came in. It's collapsed. This way, Jess says. I can smell the surface. Which seems insane, but you follow him anyway, down twisting passages at a dead run. Just as you're convinced Jess was lying, the tunnel ends, and you're out beneath the stars again. They fill you with sweet light. You sprout wings of shadow, gather speed and fly. You catch Jess with a tine of craft and drag him along, his squawk of protest notwithstanding. You land hard by the sunken river. Jess scrambles away to ready the horses. Columns of fire rise from the broken towers, and ancient tree trunks fall. Terror wings split the night overhead. You raise wards and weapons, expecting a fight, but you recognize the figure that crashes to the sand. Verity's wreathed in shadow and bleeding heavily. Her teeth are sharp. She has the most beautiful eyes. She reaches for you and collapses. Shadow ebbs from her flesh. The wounds you see there turn your stomach. You throw her over your horse and ride off. You rig up a stretcher behind the horses to pull Verity along. A little craftwork keeps it level and makes the ride smooth, but it still takes you longer to reach civilization. You throw her over your... Oh, okay. I initially read that sentence as like she was on the horse, and then we just chucked her off and left her for dead. And that's actually why I stumbled over that sentence, because I got confused. I'm like, why the hell would we do that? Okay, I'm with us. Anyway, Verity wakes up the night Jess announces? Oh, Verity wakes up the night Jess announces, after consulting with the stars on the map, that you're a half-day's ride from the station. Whoa. When you bring her the news, she grins. She's swathed in bandages, half of her face covered, and the rest of her tied in place to keep her broken bones from puncturing anything. You've cleaned the deep wounds in her arm every day. You don't see gangrene yet. She points weakly to your arm. I think I'll get one of those. They look real. The poll is closed, and we respond. You don't want one if you don't have to get it. They sting. I bet. You hesitate, unsure what to say next. Thank you, she says, for trusting me. It was the right thing to do. People in DL need that water. It's worth a lot more than my life, but God's damn it, I was scared. It took everything I had not to jump at you the instant you stepped into that temple. If you hadn't listened, if I'd done all that for nothing... So, how do you want to respond to her? Select one of the 5 options now in the poll. The votes are in, and whoo, at the last second they changed. I was about to say option 4 won, but option 3 caught up, so there's a 2-way tie. We'll reassure her. I knew you'd make it out. Don't lie, she says. I didn't know I would. It wasn't a lie. She doesn't seem to believe you, but she doesn't press the subject. You talk for a while longer, debating your report to Red King Consolidated, among other things, until long before moonset, you settle down to sleep. Thank you, achievement. You reach the station the next day before noon. As promised, exhausted and aching, the hulk of an engine awaits, a black monster on world-shaking wheels. The porters take Verity's rigged stretcher and bear her to the carriage. She only winces a little. You mount the platform, briefcase in hand, and wave as Jess rides away. Then the engine wakes and surges to motion, and you're bound south towards Dresdiel Lex. Okay, after some discussion, the chatters here in Hitbox have elected to end the stream here and move on to the after party, which is just fine by me. So we will pick up with the story, Chapter 3, next week. Hitbox.tv/PyroFalkon LPE, a link to the channel and the game, which is available on Steam, are in the video description. Please, if you're watching this on YouTube, you should join us on Hitbox every Sunday at 8 p.m. We will be doing this audience participation until the story is over, and we try to do more audience participation games. I just haven't had a chance to do them very often lately, but hey, we're doing them for a while, because usually these last a few weeks. So you should totally join us every Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern. And I don't know what we're doing for the after party, but we will be having an after party here on Hitbox. But if you are watching this on YouTube, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you next week for another stream.